What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a couple deep sleepers that you guys can either draft in your startup drafts outside of the 10th round, outside of those top 100 players, or players that you can trade for in already established dynasty leagues for maybe not a very expensive price that do have a lot of upside going into the 2024 season. So without wasting any more time, let's hop right into today's video and let's talk about my first sleeper. Now, the first player that I want to talk about is going to be Michael Mayer, tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders, and he is currently being drafted in the 10th round, has an ADP of 113.53, so he's coming off the board as the 113th player pretty late in your startup drafts, and a guy who I think has a lot of upside. Now, I know if you're just looking at the box score and you're looking at the statistics, Michael Mayer didn't have the greatest of seasons here in 2023, only had 27 catches for 304 yards and 2 touchdowns, and although that was a little bit underwhelming compared to some of the other rookie tight ends that we had this year in Sam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid, I think we need to remember that tight ends typically do take a little bit longer to break out at the NFL level. And just a year ago, we had a guy similar to Michael Mayer in Trey McBride who didn't break out in his rookie season. He posted very similar numbers, posting a 2022 season where he had 29 receptions for 265 yards and 1 touchdown. So in fact, Michael Mayer even had a better rookie season than Trey McBride. Now, in Dynasty Fantasy Football, we do typically see that second year breakout for rookie tight ends. That is something that is tried and true through the history of time. There is an article by Fantasy Points that kind of shows the data here that shows you that we should be banking and betting on that second year breakout out of fantasy football tight ends. And again, I just want to remind you that this is a prospect that we all were very high on coming into the 2023 season. In fact, I had this guy higher than Sam Laporta. I had him higher than Dalton Kincaid. And I know I'm not the only one who had him there in my rankings. He had a very, very good prospect profile coming out of Notre Dame. Now, not only do second year tight ends tend to break out, they also tend to hover at this production level for the next couple of seasons before they eventually reach their peaks here in year 5 and year 6. And that is the bet that you're making with Michael Mayer, a guy who is going to break out and hover at this level of production for the foreseeable future, giving you an advantage on your Dynasty Fantasy Football rosters at a position that is hard to hit on anyways. I think there's some good things for Michael Mayer here in 2023. He's obviously going to get some consistency here out of the coaching staff. Antonio Pierce was hired by the Las Vegas Raiders officially as their new head coach, not just the interim head coach, because we know in his rookie year, going from Josh McDaniels to Antonio Pierce, that's a tough transition for a rookie. And having that consistency here in year 2, I think is only going to help aid him in this breakout that we're looking for in year 2. And not only that, there's also tight ends in this tight end room here in Las Vegas like Austin Hooper and Jesper Horsted, who are unrestricted free agents who likely are going to be leaving in 2024, which could mean a couple more opportunities for Michael Mayer in this upcoming season. Now, moving on to my second player that I think is a deep sleeper in your Dynasty Fantasy Football leagues, that's going to be Kendre Miller, running back for the New Orleans Saints. He's currently being drafted in the 12th round, coming off the board as the 128th player. This is a very deep call for a running back that does have a lot of upside and was highly regarded coming into the NFL as a rookie in 2023. Now, the unfortunate thing for Kendre Miller is as he was coming into his 2023 season, he did miss some time with a shoulder and an ankle injury in his rookie year, which did force him to miss a majority and the remainder of the 2023 season as they got down the stretch there in New Orleans. And not only did he miss time down the stretch, but he also missed some time to begin his career in the preseason because he was dealing with some hamstring injuries in the preseason as well, which obviously is never good for a rookie. If you're not getting playing time in preseason, you're not getting playing time in the regular season, it's hard for you to really show why you should be on the field as a rookie. And I think that's just kind of a lost season for Kendre Miller, unfortunately, in 2023. And so obviously, as a result of not playing very much, he did post a very lackluster season, and Kendre had a combined 273 yards on just 51 opportunities. But like I said, despite having a bad rookie season, he was highly touted coming into the 2023 draft. This is a guy who the New Orleans Saints spent day 2 draft capital on. They took him as the 4th running back off the board. It was Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Charbonnet, and then Kendre Miller was the next running back off the board. So the Saints took him with some very high draft capital, showing that they believed he could be a running back for them as a big part of their plans for the future. And I do still think that they believe that with Kendre Miller. You got to look at what Alvin Kamara is right now. Obviously the primary running back for the New Orleans Saints, but he's 29 years old. He has a very significant cap hit. There is an out in that contract, so there's not even a guaranteed shot that Alvin Kamara is on this team in 2024. Even though there is a likely chance that he's still there, they do have the option to get out. But even if they do choose to stick with Alvin Kamara here going into his age 29 season, I think we've seen some effects of that running back age cliff. Some of the efficiency in the rushing statistics have fallen off pretty significantly for Alvin Kamara. I just don't think he's as good of a rusher as he used to be. Now, obviously, he's still being used in the receiving game, and I think that's kind of hidden the fact that he might have been already taken by this running back age cliff. But when we really dive into those rushing statistics, it really does show that Alvin Kamara is kind of falling off as a rusher. And I talked about that a little bit in my sell video just a few days ago. So if you haven't watched that video, I'll talk more in detail about why Alvin Kamara is falling off in that video. But I think because of that, we need to be looking at Kendre Miller as potentially a guy who has a lot of opportunity on the horizon. So with all of that being said, obviously there is a chance that Alvin Kamara is not on this team, but even if he is, I think there is a larger workload in store for Kendre Miller in 2022 just because of the lack of efficiency in the rushing ground. Kendre Miller is very efficient in the rushing game. He was a guy who was top 5 coming into the NFL in basically all of those tackle breaking and rushing efficiency metrics. He's just a very good, efficient runner. Now, he's not necessarily the best in the passing game, so I think that could be a reason why the Saints choose to keep Kamara, giving them that 1-2 punch. So with all of that being said, I think despite the opportunities that Kendre has kind of lacked to start his rookie career, I think this is a guy that I'm willing to bet on the talent, bet on the draft capital, and see if that improves for him here in 2024. And coming off the board in the 12th round, there really isn't a lot of risk in drafting him in your startups or trading for him pretty low in your Dynasty Fantasy Football League. And now the third and final deep sleeper that you guys should be targeting is going to be Michael Wilson, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, coming off the board in the 13th round with an ADP of 147.4, and I think he has a lot of upside. Now, Michael Wilson did miss about 4 games in 2023. This was due to a shoulder injury, which I do think is slightly concerning due to the fact that Michael Wilson missed a lot of time in his college career due to injuries as well. So obviously we don't want to see that pile up at the NFL level. But I do think that despite that injury, there should be a plethora of opportunities here for Michael Wilson in Arizona in year 2 of his NFL career. Now, obviously the Arizona Cardinals thought highly of Michael Wilson. They drafted him pretty high in the 2023 NFL draft. And we need to account for the fact that Hollywood Brown is a unrestricted free agent going into the 2024 season. So there is a chance that Hollywood Brown leaves this team, which would open up some more opportunities for a guy like Michael Wilson. But then we also need to account for the fact that they have the number 4 pick. And this is probably a team that looks like it could be in store for a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Malik Neighbors type of wide receiver that could come in and benefit this offense tremendously. I think either of those situations are fine. I don't think either of those situations are going to be negative for Michael Wilson. Obviously, if Hollywood Brown leaves and they don't address the wide receiver position at number 4, that gives Michael Wilson a huge bump in opportunity going into year 2. But even if they do draft a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors, I think that honestly will help Michael Wilson. He will then be the number 2 receiving option on this team, and he will get a little bit softer coverage because the number 1 corner will be following a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors. And what I think a lot of us aren't looking at is the fact that Kyler Murray is going to be fully healthy here in 2024. When Michael Wilson was playing in the early parts of the season, he wasn't playing with Kyler Murray, so we didn't really see him unlock his full potential with the starting quarterback of this team. And then obviously when Michael Wilson was hurt at the end of the year, that is when Kyler Murray was playing, so the timelines just didn't line up for Michael Wilson and Kyler Murray. Michael Wilson did see 9.7 yards per target, which was 15th best in the NFL as a rookie, and he also saw 14.9 yards per reception, which was 26th best in the NFL in 2023. So these are very promising numbers from a rookie wide receiver in Michael Wilson. And if you're not familiar with Matt Harmon has a tool called Reception Perception. He basically grades out wide receivers and shows how successful they are against certain coverages in the NFL. And Matt Harmon put together an in-season report on Michael Wilson, and the numbers actually looked pretty promising for Michael Wilson. Wilson showed a 70% success rate versus man coverage and a 70.4% success rate versus press coverage, which are both very good numbers that you want to see out of those X or Z wide receivers. And he also demonstrated an 85.7% contested catch rate, which was one of the best amongst all rookie wide receivers in 2023. And although I'm not necessarily comparing or expecting Michael Wilson to reach this type of ceiling, Matt Harmon does mention that these numbers that Michael Wilson posted in his rookie season are eerily similar to what Michael Pittman Jr. posted as a rookie. So I do think that that shows a lot of promise for what Michael Wilson could be for your Dynasty Fantasy Football rosters moving forward. Now, Now, that is all I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and hit that like button. It does truly show me that you guys enjoy the content, and it does do a lot in helping support this channel. So make sure you hit that like button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. That way you never miss a future video. And also make sure you're hitting that notification bell so you are notified when those videos do come out. And last but not least, make sure you guys are joining that free Discord. There is a free Discord link in the description. Like I said, it's free to join. We're in there talking Dynasty Fantasy Football all day, 24/7, 365, helping you guys out with your Dynasty Fantasy Football needs. So no risk in doing that. Join the Discord. And with all that being said, I will see you guys on our next video. But until then, peace out.